For this project, I purchased 4 silicone heart molds off Amazon. There was 4 of them, I believe, for a little less than $10. And then I took some crushed glass from Michael's. It's a reflective crushed glass, Ashland vase filler, I think it's called, if you want to look it up. And I spray painted it with the Krylon stained glass cranberry red spray paint to come up to this beautiful red color. And I also took some gold Ashland vase filler. This isn't the original bottle that I purchased at Michael's, and I put it around the perimeter of the heart. And this is what happened after I poured resin on it. Look at all the sediment in the resin. So what I had to do was take both the red glass and put it in a colander and rinse all the sediment off, and then take the gold glass and do the same with that and try again. And this time it turned out much better. And although I did not use the gold ones, I did use some red ones, with one of them being clear in the middle. And this time it didn't have any sediment. I took a 19.5 by 11-inch frame and took the backing off, cleaned the glass up, cleaned the frame off, and then replaced the glass and used silicone caulking and put it around the perimeter of the back of the frame. This serves 2 purposes. It holds the glass in once it's dry, and it also helps to prevent resin leaks when you pour resin on the front of the glass. After the silicone caulk had dried for 24 hours, then I took painter's tape and put that along the perimeter of the back of the frame. This is just an extra precaution against resin leaks. In addition to having the silicone caulk, the painter's tape, you should always have your project on some type of protective paper. Next, I take the 3 hearts that I made and I place them one on top of each other on the glass. And the letters that I'm using for this, I actually picked up at a Dollar Depot. But if you ever happen to be at garage sales and you see somebody selling a Scrabble game, grab it, because they have about 100 of these letters in there. I always look for them at garage sales. I've never found one, but I just happened to find them at the Dollar Depot. And it worked out perfect for this. It is actually, I wasn't sure what I was going to do with these, and when I saw those little letters, it just reminded me of the candy hearts, and I thought, oh, I could make them like candy hearts, the ones that you get in the little box at Valentine's Day. So I just placed these on how I wanted them, and then I was ready to do the resin. So if I had to do it again, I would take those little letters and pre-glue them in the position, because once I put resin on them, it was awful. They kept on slipping and sliding, and I had to keep on going back and pushing them back in place. And if you'll notice at the very end, the KISS, K-I-S-S, the S's kind of moved back together again. And I tell you, I moved those back to their right position so many times, so pre-gluing would be your best bet. So for this project, I'm using art resin. Art resin is a 1-to-1 ratio resin. Use 1 part resin to 1 part hardener, equal amounts. When I use resin, I wear gloves. I use a respirator. I open the window. It's in your best interest to do it in a well-ventilated area. If you could do it outside, that would be great, but it has to cure at temperatures between 70 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit. So when you first put the resin into the cup, you'll notice it's clear. And then once you start mixing it, you'll notice it becomes cloudy. You're supposed to mix it for about 3 minutes, scraping the sides, scraping the bottom. The slower you mix it, the less bubbles you'll get. It looks like I'm stirring it really fast, but I have the video sped way up. When it starts to turn clear again, after about 3 minutes, it'll be ready to pour on top of the project. So with this project, I probably did it backwards. I should have put some resin on the glass first and then put the hearts down, because I ended up picking the large hearts up and putting them back down again. And even though I'm spooning it over the letters, I end up picking the letters up and putting resin underneath it. So behind the one with the clear where you can see through it, the problem is that you can see bubbles forming behind it. And with the one that's on the top and the one that's on the bottom, it doesn't really matter if you get bubbles behind it, because you're not going to see it. But when you put something on glass with resin under it and it's not perfectly flat, you will get bubbles on those in those areas that aren't touching the glass. And that's what ends up happening with the center heart with this. And you'll notice me a few times during it kind of pushing down on it, and the bubbles are coming out from underneath it. When I'm saying bubbles, I don't mean little tiny ones. I mean great big bubbles. So this one took me a little longer than most projects because of all the little letters on there too. I kept on having to rearrange them and move them around. And even after I had it all finished and it was curing, I had to check it every 15 to 20 minutes, because for some reason, especially the bottom one that says KISS, K-I-S-S, those letters would just move ever so slightly, and I just didn't want them to dry in that position, so I would just have to push them over a tiny bit more and cover it back up, and then come back about 15 minutes later until finally they weren't moving anymore. But here you see me putting more resin underneath it, trying to get rid of the bubbles underneath. And at one point I'm pushing down on it and I think, oh dear, I thought I had broke the glass underneath, but I didn't. And then here I'm putting more resin on the back of it. But anyway, yeah, this took me a bit longer than most projects, and I had to keep on rearranging those little letters. Next, I'm using the small kitchen torch to get rid of the bubbles. And this kitchen torch is so easy to use, so easy to fill. You have to buy the butane separate, but it's extremely easy to fill and use. And it really works well to get rid of the bubbles. And here you'll see me pushing down, trying to see that big bubble that just came out? Yeah, it was really hard to get rid of all those bubbles there. But anyway, so again, when the project's done, it has to sit at room temperature between 70 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit on a flat surface. And here I'm using the rubbing alcohol to clean up all the drips that I have on my frame, and I have quite a few. And I know I had told you guys before to use the rubbing alcohol to get it off your hands. That's what I was doing, but they said that that's not a good idea because it'll cause the breakdown of the resin, and it'll cause you to absorb the resin into your skin, and to use an abrasive, something abrasive to get it off your skin instead of using rubbing alcohol. But to use rubbing alcohol for the frame, and of course if you get it in your hair you would have to. Hey everyone, hope you can see me okay. So this is probably one of my favorite projects as far as the way it turned out. I think it's so cute with these little hearts. They remind me of the candy hearts, you know, that you get in the little boxes at Valentine's Day that has the little words on them. But I've always, you know, when I go to garage sales, I always look for Scrabble games, and I've never found one. But if you can find a Scrabble game, you can get 100 of these in the box. And I've seen them in, you know, other projects, used in different projects and that. But then I started thinking, so I found these at a place called Dollar Depot. There was all the letters in it for $1.40. Their prices went up just like the Dollar Tree. But, and I thought, oh, geez, I've never seen them anywhere. And then I started thinking, I wonder if they have them online. Well, of course they do. Amazon. Amazon has 500 letters for $13 and something cents. So that's easier than hunting for them. And I think it's cheaper than if you were to buy, because you got, I forget how many I got in the package. I think 27 in the package. But anyway, so I thought it turned out real cute. Now you could take glass and just pile it up on here into the heart shape, but I love the way it's a perfect heart. And like I said in the beginning with the clear one, there was residue on that glass, that gold glass that I first tried it with, and this. And it was probably because, you know, I spread this glass out in the garage and on that cardboard and sprayed it with that paint. So that's what caused this residue. So I just had to put it in the colander and spray it down with water and just get everything off. And then this came out nice and clear. But during the video, I don't know if you saw, but I had to push. I was pushing and pushing because we got bubbles under here. And I'm not talking about the little bubbles. They're great big bubbles. And so there was bubbles behind both of these, but you can't see them unless, of course, you look at the back. So see how the back, I don't know if you can see it. There's big bubbles back here, which is what that would have looked like, but you would have seen it from the front. I don't know if you can see those or not, but those were the big bubbles that I was trying to push out. And then I got fingerprints on it. But anyway, so this was a lot of fun to do. And this would be really cute, even if you just had a small frame and put one of these on with the letter like love or something like that on it. And I don't know if any of you are into Etsy sales and stuff like this, but this would be really cute. You could just make a small one. You could do it on canvas or with just a small frame with one of the hearts. Anyway, so like I said, this was the way this turned out was my favorite of all the projects, of all the Valentine projects so far. And well, if you have any comments or suggestions or questions, please ask. And I hope you guys have a great day.